Hello everyone, today in this video we'll be discussing the fifth module of database management system. And if I give you the overview of this module, we have three topics mainly. First is the transaction processing. Okay, what is a transaction? Transaction means two processes are there and in between them there will be transaction. Okay, that is transaction, and we'll be studying its processing. That's the first topic. Second topic is concurrency control, and third topic is introduction to database recovery protocols. If suppose that there is a database here, it performs some operation but that data was lost. Okay, so how to recover it, that algorithms will be studying. Okay, and concurrency means we will be maintaining two, means in synchronous order there will be both the database will be. How to achieve that, we will be studying here. Okay, in concurrency control databases. So this is the overview of the module 5, and if you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, and after we get over with these topics, we'll be discussing the previous year questions. So let's get started with the introduction here. What is transaction processing? The concept of transaction provides a mechanism for describing the logical units of database processing. Okay, so what does it mean? We'll be discussing more in the upcoming topics. Okay, so there can be two types of transactions. The first one in which the time is shared, and second one in which the parallel execution happens. Okay, suppose that there are 5 transactions. The first transaction starts at T1 and then it gets over at T2. Then second transaction starts, it gets over at T3. Like that it keeps on going. Each of the transaction will get opportunity to execute itself for a small amount of time. That type of transaction is known as interleaved transaction or time sharing transaction. Okay, and the second one is the parallel transaction, in which the parallel execution will be there. What will happen is T1 is executing in this time, in the same time T2 is also executing, T3 and T4. Okay, so that is known as parallel transactions. Okay, and there are two basic transactions which we all do, like read item and write item. Okay, so in this module we will be studying what are the rules to perform the read operation and when it can be performed, and what are the violations also for both of these. Okay, so to read and write, what we will do is, firstly from the memory we will read into a buffer, and from buffer it will be read to a program. If you want to write, what we will do, from the program we will write to a buffer, and from buffer we will write to the memory. Okay, this is how the read write operation is performed. Okay, the basically what is the meaning of concurrency? Concurrency means synchronization, means if there are two database here, whatever is happening here, that should be in sync with what is being shown here. Okay, means there should be no difference in between both of these. Okay, that is synchronization. If you do not apply concurrency, there can be few problems. Okay, so what are those problems? Let's discuss. The first one is the lost update problem. In this, what happens is, if a transaction T2 reads a value of X before T1 changes it. See, there is T2 here which is reading the value, and this is the T1. So the value is being read from here. Okay, T2 has read this value and it is reached this point now, but T1 will update this value after T2 has reached here. That will cause the lost update problem. The second is the temporary update problem. In temporary update problem, what happens is, the transaction is read here. See, this is the thing which is to be read, and this is T1 and this is T2. After it has read this value, it is moving on to the next part of the transaction, and after it what happens is, it gets failed. Okay, so when it gets failed, again it comes back and changes this value, but till then it will have read the value and got the wrong result. Okay, so that will cause the difference in the values which the transaction T1 has and what the actual value it is present here. That is known as temporary update or dirty read problem. Okay, the third one is the incorrect summary problem. Here it is, what's happening is, if there is a transaction here and the value is getting changed by another transaction. Okay, this is the value which is being read by both the transactions T1 and T2. Okay, so T1 was reading this value and it went here, and all these values were read. Okay, but after it reaches, before it reaches the end, what happens is, T2 updated the value of some of these values. Okay, so what will happen now? At this point, what will happen is, the T1 has got a different values, means what all it has read, and T2 has updated a new value. So if you calculate the count, sum or average of these values, you will get different value for T1 and different value for T2. Okay, that is the incorrect summary problem. The fourth one is the unrepeatable read problem. Between two reads, if a value is updated, okay, between two reads means if this is the thing to be read, between the first read and the second read, if the value is updated here, it will be different for the both of these, right, and it might be overwritten. So that will be causing the inconsistency. So these are the four problems which are associated with the concurrency. If it's not followed, we may encounter these problems. Okay, that was about the concurrency and the problems associated with it. Okay, what are the states of transactions? Also there can be other ways of failures, like computer failure, transaction error, exceptions, concurrency error, and disk failure. Okay, so these are some just some of these. There will be many others also. Okay, so if they ask you to draw the states of the transaction, you have to do this diagram. Okay, in this diagram what you can see is the transaction begins from here, right? Transaction begins and ends here. In between that there are few states here. Let's discuss what are these states. The first state is active state. Active state means if it is reading or writing anything, it will be in the active state only. Okay, and the next state is the, if the transaction is going to end, it will go to partially committed state. It is not totally ended, but it's a partially ended. Okay, and if it commits, what does that mean? It saves what are the changes made to the database. If the changes made to the database are saved, that is known as committed transaction. That will be in the state of committed transaction. If it does not reach the committed or partially committed, and if it aborts before these two states, then it is in the failed state. Okay, if it aborts from here or here. Okay, and if it commits, then it aborts, that means it's terminated, means successful. Okay, because it's committed, it's already saved, and then if you abort, that means you are just exiting. Okay, that is the normal termination. Okay, and for every transaction there will be a system log which keeps the tracks of all transaction operations. Okay, and transaction can do two things: commit and abort. Commit means a successful entry, and abort means a rollback. That means after doing some operation, again coming back to the original position without saving anything. Okay, and for each transaction we use a buffer, like we use cache, and for that there is algorithms for replacing the older values. The mostly used is the least replacement algorithm, and another one is the hot set and dbmin method. Okay, this is very important from exam point of view, which is ACID properties. ACID properties means atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity means either the transaction is performed fully or not performed at all. It cannot be partial transaction. Okay, that's the first thing. Consistency means there should be if there are multiple views of the database, in all the database there should be same type of data and transactions. Okay, there should be no inconsistent data. Means somewhere roll number is 1 for the same person, somewhere it is 2, somewhere it is 3. That should not happen. Okay, that is what is meant by consistency. And isolation means even if all the transactions are happening parallelly, it should not look like they are happening at the same time. It should look like they are happening in isolation with each other. Okay, durability means recovery. Okay, the next topic is characterizing schedules based on recoverability. Two transactions conflict when they belong to different transactions, or they access the same item, or at least one of the operation is a write item. If any of these means whatever process we have, if any of that has any of these three, at that time it will be conflict. Okay, and schedules classified on recoverability. A schedule is recoverable only if it does not commit until all the other transactions have committed. Okay, if there is a schedule here, it does not commit anything to the database until all the other transactions have committed. At that time it is recoverable, because if any error happens here, it has not yet committed, it can be recoverable. Okay, cascadeless schedule means every transaction reads only the items that are committed. And schedules requiring cascaded rollback means if it fails, at that time uncommitted transaction can be rolled back. And strict schedule is that which neither writes or reads the item X until the last transaction that has wrote the X item has committed. Okay, so basically if there is some schedule and it is called as recoverable, it should wait until the other transactions commit, and then only it should be committing. Okay, so that there is a possibility of recoverability. The next one is schedules based on serializability. Serial schedule is that which has the sequence of operations to be performed. Serializable schedule is that which can be equivalent to some other serial schedule. This is serial, this is serializable. Okay, it is able to become serial, and this is already serial. And result equivalent means two schedules producing the same result. Conflict equivalent means same conflict, and conflict serializable means it produces a same conflict that is in another serial schedule. This is serializable. Okay, So let's take an example for testing conflict of serializability of schedules. We will be given with a table like this, which will have like 3 transactions, and what we are supposed to do is we have to create a precedence graph and then see if there is any cycle or not. If there is any cycle, that means not serializable. If there is no cycle, it means serializable. Okay, so let's see how to do that. Firstly, transaction 1, 2 and 3 are given, and as you can see here in the schedule E, we have the read item Z, then read item Y and write item Y. After that we have read item Y and read item Z here. Okay, that comes after from T2 to T3. Okay, so Z is here, and then after that Z came here, Y is here, after that Y came here. Therefore there will be a transaction from T2 to T3 on Y and Z. Okay, so that's what we are making here in schedule E. We will have from T2 to T3 on Y and Z. Okay, like that we will see for other possibilities also. X is here, and where X occurs, it occurs here. Okay, so we'll have from T1 to T2 on X. Okay, so T1 to T2 on X. So that's how we will do all the things, and then see if there is any cycle or not. As you can see, this is one cycle from here to here, and another cycle is this one from here to here, then again here. Okay, 2 cycles are there, so it's not serializable. Let's consider an example here. In this, what we have is Y and Z here, then we have Z and Y here. So from T3 to T2. Okay, and X is here, and another X. We have to see and map it. Okay, so when we do that, what we get is this graph here. Now, is there any cycle here? Firstly, it goes here and here, then it goes here and it ends here. So there is no cycle in this graph. So therefore what I can call is it is serializable. Okay, so that's what we are using between how to detect if it's serializable or not. Okay, so what is the main difference between serial and serializable? Serial means it's all operations are defined. Okay, means there is any there is all the order of execution of all the processes. Okay, and they do not get mixed. And serializable is that which is weaker than the serial schedule. Their operations can be mixed or not mixed. Okay, it's not sure, but it's not yet confirmed that it is unserializable. Okay, there is a possibility that it can be converted to serial, but there is also a possibility that it cannot be converted. Okay, both the possibilities exist, so it is called as serializable. Okay. Coming to the second part of the module, we have concurrency control in databases. Okay, what does concurrency control mean? Prevention of the execution of programs at the same time, that is concurrency control. Okay, the concept of locking data items is one of the main techniques for used for controlling the concurrent execution of transactions. Okay, so if there are 2 processes going on and they access the same item, we will just give for one of those processes the access to this item. Okay, so that the changes will be made. Then after this changes are made and it's over, after that only the next process will be able to make the changes. Okay, so if they what will happen if we don't give the lock to each other and leave them as it is? What will happen is they will make some changes, he will also make some changes, and it will be mixed up. Okay, so for that we will be using the locking of data items. And there are 2 types of locks, binary and shared locks. In binary locks it is 0 or 1, and 1 means the item is locked and cannot be accessed. If it's 0 means it's unlocked and can be accessed and made as 1. Okay, so whenever a process is accessing an item, it should make the lock as 1. Okay, that means it is locked. Okay, and the shared lock means for read and write operations. There are 3 locking operations: read lock, write lock and unlock. So if you are reading, you will be using read lock. If you are writing, you will be using write lock. And if you are done with reading and writing, you will be using unlock, so that other process can be able to access the item. Okay, so a read lock item is also called as shared lock. I will be denoting as S, and write lock is known as exclusive lock, that is X. Okay, so let's see an example here. When we use the shared exclusive locking scheme, the system must enforce the following rules. Okay, so here are some rules. If a transaction T issues the read lock operation or write lock operation, it has to do before any read item. If it is going to read any item from the transaction, it should first do the read lock or write lock. Okay, if it is going to write something to the system, at that time we have to use the write lock before writing anything. Okay, that's the second rule. And third rule is that if a transaction issues the operation unlock it should issue the transaction unlock after all the read and write is done. Okay. And transaction will not issue any read lock operation if it already has some read or write operation. Okay. So only one lock for one process. And the locks can be converted in some scenarios for some certain conditions. For example, it is possible for a transaction T to issue a read lock and then later upgrade to a lock by issuing a write lock. Okay. There is a technique which is the guaranteeing serializability by two-phase locking. What does two-phase locking mean? What do you mean by two-phase? Two-phase means two moments of time. Like in first moment of time, it will be expanding and then it will be shrinking. Okay. What does expansion mean? It will just acquire the locks. And what does shrinking mean? It will just release the locks. Okay. And there are two forms of locks: shared lock for read only and exclusive lock for both read and write. Okay. So suppose that there are two transactions T1 and T2, and T1 is in expanding phase as well as T2 is in expanding phase. So they can just acquire locks. Okay. So there was an item A. The lock was acquired by T1 by issuing lock SA. SA means shared lock. That means read only. Then after that it acquired a lock X of B, and between that it T2 requested a lock for A. But since it's already given here for T1, what will happen is the request of T2 will be blocked. He will not be given the lock because it's already present here with T1. So what it will do, it will wait. Okay. And after this point, it is the shrinking phase. T1 does not require any more locks. Its task is done, so it will start unlocking it. Okay. Firstly, it will unlock an A lock, and after that it will unlock B. Okay. So whenever it unlocks A, it will be able to, T2 will be able to access A. Okay, means T2 will get the lock for A. Okay. So whenever the thing get unlocked here, this was accessed, and T2 is having the lock of A. Okay, and it can use A, and after that it was B was also unlocked, so T2 is able to access B also. Okay, and so here in between the unlocking of A and B, T2 requested the lock for D. Since D was not used by T1, D can be given, the lock for D can be given to T2. Okay. And after this point, the locking phase of T2 is over, and then it will start unlocking the resources it had hold. Okay, it is unlock D here. Okay, because it locked D and A, right? So unlock A and unlock D. Okay, so just that there is two phases: expansion phase and shrinking phase, and the locks are acquired here, the locks are unlocked here. If a lock is already acquired by some other transaction, a new transaction cannot lock it. Okay. By this method, the serializability is guaranteed. Okay. Coming to deadlock and starvation, deadlock is a condition where both the process wait for each other to execute first. Okay. For example, if there is T1 here and T2, T1 has read the item Y, it has a lock on Y, and T2 has a lock on X. Okay. But T1 wants a lock on X and T2 wants a lock on Y. Since both have already locks here and they want each other's locks, each one will be waiting for the other process to unlock it. Okay, so this situation is known as deadlock. How can we prevent it? There are some protocols like two-phase locking. We already discussed this one, and ordering all the items, transaction timestamps by using timestamps. This will be discussing in more detail in the upcoming topics. Okay, then wait die, wound wait, no waiting algorithm, and cautious waiting. Coming to deadlock detection, there are few ways of detecting deadlock. So whenever deadlock occurs, how to detect it is that the first way is by drawing a wait for graph. Okay. So what is a wait for graph? Okay. So suppose that there are two transactions going on. The first is T1 and the second is T2. Okay. Wait for graph means if T1 is waiting for T2, if that's all what the graph is about, there is no deadlock. Okay, because just T1 is waiting for T2. But suppose that T2 is also waiting for T1. At that time, what we can say? We can say that there is a cycle here, and T1 waits for T2 while T2 waits for T1. So there is a deadlock. Okay, this is known as wait for graph. So whenever a transaction Ti is waiting for Tj, it is depicted as Ti tends to Tj. If the graph has a cycle, it's a deadlock. Okay, that's the first way of detecting deadlock. The second way is timeouts. Okay, by using the timestamps, about timestamps we will be discussing more in the upcoming topic. And the third is starvation. Okay, starvation means what? A device doesn't get the chance to get executed for a long time. Okay, a solution could be first in first out. So if we use the LIFO technique for the process execution, at that time what happens is, suppose that a process came P1, okay, then P2 came, then P3. P3 got executed first, okay. Then it was the chance for P2, but what happened? P4 came. So P4 will be given the priority. Then P4 will be executed. Then P2 got executed. Then it was for P1. Then two processes came, P5 and P6. So P5 was executing, it got finished. P7 came. So what you can observe is the new processes are coming and they are getting the chance. But the old process, which is P1, it's still there. That is known as starvation. Okay, this can be avoided by using first in first out. In first in first out, whichever process comes first, it will get executed first, then second process, then third process. Okay, like that we can use to avoid the starvation. Okay, next is concurrency control based on timestamp ordering. Timestamp means what? Whenever a process comes, a time will be associated with it, means at what time it came. So based on that ordering of the timestamps, we can say that concurrency will be established. Okay, so there are two variations: basic timestamp ordering and strict timestamp ordering. So we perform two operations, right? Read and write. So what happens is, in basic timestamp ordering, all the whatever read operation you are doing, that should be before write operation, and after the read write operation is done, no more process should happen. That is the basic timestamp ordering. In strict timestamp ordering, the read and whatever the read operation is there, all the read operation should be performed. Here it is a thing that for each process read write can be performed separately, but here all the read operation should be performed first. After that gets over, after that only write operation will be performed. That is the strict timestamp ordering. So by using these two, the concurrency control can be established. Okay, and the next one is multi-version concurrency control techniques. Multi-version means for us same process there will be multiple versions at different time points of time, right? So controlling all of these is known as concurrency control. Okay, so it is based on the different periods of time. So they are ordered based on the read timestamp and write timestamp. The greatest one among the read and write will give the will get the chance to get executed. Okay. Also, certify is used to make the connections finalized and make the state stable. If there is something that will ensure that one can be performed and one can be blocked, at that time there will be concurrency control, right? So if there is any conflict, one of the transaction has to wait until the other process executes. Okay. Coming to validation concurrency control techniques, here the thing is that all the checks has to be carried out before all the transactions, so that there will be minimum transaction proceeds with overhead until the validation phase is reached. Okay, if there are 10 transactions here and they are performed before means the validation technique on that is performed before all of these transactions, then there will be minimum cost for calling each time validation. What I mean is, if you have to do each time, like for one process you want again validation, you will call, second process again you will call, there will be a lot of time waste there, right? So what we will do, we will do that validation for all at once. Okay, all the checks are carried out at once. Okay. Coming to granularity of data items, granularity means the size. The larger the size, the more the transactions are needed. Okay, sorry, the larger the size, the lesser the transactions are needed. Why? Because sometimes there is a mixture of large item size and small item size. In that case, multi-level granularity is needed. See, the smaller the transaction is, it is harder to handle that, because it will have complex transactions. But if it is larger, that means it's organized more, right? So there will be lesser transactions needed. Each thing will have its own separate database. Okay. Coming to the introduction to database recovery protocols, what does recovery mean? Recovery means if a transaction T1 is there, if it fails at that time, what was the previous state of database that should be recovered. Okay, that is the main meaning of recovery. Okay, and all the information is kept in system log, and there are two types of updates: deferred update and immediate update. Deferred update means the database gets updated after the transaction is committed. Immediate update means if there is any change happened, the database will be updated. Okay, so based on that, in the deferred update, since it's updating after a certain amount of time, undo and redo operation is not required. and in immediate update, since it gets updated immediately, the undo and redo operation should be there. Okay, so that's the different types of updates. And the second is caching. Okay, so caching means there will be a space in the memory in which the recent transactions which has happened and the recent what is the data updated and all that will be stored. Okay, a directory is used for the cache to keep track of all the items which are in the database. Okay, so an item can be retrieved faster if the cache is, if it's present in the cache, and there are two types of bit which keep the track. The first one is the dirty bit. That means it will have one bit to know if the data is modified or not, and the second is pin unpin bit, that will show if the data could be changed or not. Okay, and there are two main strategies for it. The first one is the in place updating. That means wherever the data is there only the change will happen. The second is shadowing. That means the multiple places the same thing will be stored, means the copy of the data will be stored and one of them will be updated. This is done to keep the multiple values of data in different places. Okay, and there is an operation which is called a write ahead logging. That means the old data should not get overwritten. That is known as write ahead logging. And steal no steal means there is an approach in which the data is updated from the cache before the transaction commits. That is the steal approach. And no steal means it is only updated before the transaction is it is not updated before the transaction commits. Okay, and the last one is force no force. Okay, so if all the pages by updated by a transaction are immediately written, that is the force approach. Otherwise it is called no force approach. And the remaining topics are just that how to use the undo and redo operations. What do you mean by undo? Okay, suppose that in notepad I have opened here. At that time I have written some sentence here. Undo means what? Means clear this sentence to the previous state what I had in the notepad. That is undo operation. Redo means again if I click redo, what it will do, again it will write the operation what I had performed. That is the undo and redo operation. So there are some protocols like before the item gets committed it should not be overwritten, and after it gets committed all the log record should be updated. Those things are there. Okay, you can go through it once. Okay, so that's all here, and it maintains two lists for the purpose, like a committed list and what is the active transaction list and what could be written and what is to be read here. Those things are present here. Okay, so these are about the updates, like if a thing is to be updated immediately, at that time it will go to a temporary state, and if the transaction fails it will be rolled back, else it will be written. Okay, and shadow paging means just a temporary version of the transaction to be written. It is a copy of the data, and if it is looking fine for you, you can commit it. Okay, and here all the recent transactions happen just like the cache. So shadow page acts like a cache which gets updated frequently. Okay, coming to the previous questions, what are the important questions are the properties of transactions. Okay, and with a neat diagram explain the state transaction diagram for a transition that I have shown, right? There are 6 states here. When it gets aborted it will go in this state, and it's committed or it's partially committed. That diagram you have to make and explain each of these state. Okay, it's a very important question. What is two-phase locking? That is the exclusive lock, shared lock, that topic. Okay, and concurrency control and deadlock and starvation. Wherever I have put 3 marks or 2 marks here, that is more important. Okay, means it's repeated that many times. And what are the problems faced when concurrent transactions are executed in uncontrolled manner? That you can give an example, explain by yourself. Okay, and timestamp ordering, no undo redo operations, and database inconsistency problems, lost update, dirty read and blind write, and check whether it's serializable or not. I had given 2 examples, right, how to check if it's serializable. Like you will make a wait for graph first, and after that if there is a cycle in that, it's not serializable, else it's serializable. Okay, and see 2PL is very important. Once here also it is I had written here the two-phase locking, the same question here. Okay, and here also it is asked. Okay, so don't miss that question before you go for exam. Okay, and here are some of the questions which are repeated once only, but that's also important. And here it's the acid properties, that's very important. And yeah, that's it for all the previous year questions, like previous 5 year questions. And this is the wait for graph which is used to detect the deadlock. Okay, so that's all for this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.